Now, more on our exclusive story that could shatter the timeline in the case of a disgraced doctor that shocked the nation. A 60-year-old nurse claims she was a victim more than 2 decades ago. Avery.
Well, Gord, George Doodnaught has been sentenced to 10 years behind bars, convicted of sexually assaulting 21 patients between 2006 and 2010 while they were on the operating table at North York General Hospital. Tonight, a woman who wants her identity kept secret, but her story told. We'll call her Jane.
I'm 60 years old. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been a nurse for 31 years.
8 of those years, starting in 1990, Jane practiced here at North York General Hospital.
I thought he was an excellent doctor.
It may surprise you to know that Jane is talking about this man, described at his recent trial as a serial sexual predator.
Medically, I thought he was one of our best.
In fact, Jane so respected Dr. Doodnaught that she requested him for her own minor gynecological surgery in July of 1992.
I don't remember anything until I started to wake up.
As she came out of the anesthetic he administered, Jane claims that Doodnaught fondled her and forced oral sex.
I was confused. I didn't know why it had happened, or I guess for a long time I questioned if it had really happened or I was imagining it.
Jane told no one. She says the old boys club prevailed in the 1990s, and at that time in that hospital, nurses did not tell on doctors.
I felt that nobody would believe me. He was such a wonderful guy that he could never have done anything so heinous, and that they would turn it around and make it look like it was my fault.
And then years later, you see his picture and you see the charges against him. Yes. And what happens?
It was like an explosion went off in my head. I just gasped.
But Jane will always be an alleged victim, even though she gave a statement to police, even though she testified at Doodnaught's preliminary hearing. The Crown Attorney selected just 21 of the 29 women who came forward with allegations.
I received a phone call from my caseworker at the victim support saying that David Wright, the Crown Attorney, had been told by the government to cut back on the number of cases, that it was going to take too long and it was going to cost too much money, and that I had been one of the witnesses that had been chosen not to be part of the trial.
The Attorney General's office in this statement says the Crown has an ongoing obligation to assess the strength of a case throughout a prosecution. The decision to terminate a prosecution in relation to a particular victim can be one of the most difficult for the Crown to make. Defense lawyer Calvin Barry used to be a Crown prosecutor. He says justice isn't always just.
I have 3 sisters. I could see talking to my sister and she'd be saying, why is this? This isn't fair. I want to tell my story.
In sentencing, the judge so clearly doled out punishment per victim: 4 months for crimes against this woman, 1 year for that woman. But Barry says with 21 women in the case, a few more would not have meant more time behind bars.
Would it have been a higher sentence had there been more women involved?
I don't think so. I think that once you get to that double digits, the person's not going to get any more jail.
But Jane's story raises some sinister allegations. She claims that Dr. Doodnaught abused her a full 14 years before the first known complaint.
I was hoping that when I came forward, other victims from that time frame would, but nobody did. I think that there are many more victims.
Jane says her fears that the hospital wouldn't have believed her back in the 1990s have been validated by the fact that hospital staff ignored 3 separate patient complaints in 2006, 2007, and 2008 before a victim in 2010 finally triggered an investigation.
The bulk of my anger does not lie with him. And I know that might sound strange, but it's the fact that he was behaving like this, and the hospital refused to believe it. That's what really makes me angry.
Now, even before Doodnaught was convicted, North York General Hospital paid out-of-court settlements to 26 of the women. Details that were confidential, so we have no idea just how much they were paid.
Clearly at issue here, even if her claim is never proven in court, her claim is that 3 women made similar allegations against the same doctor and did nothing. The hospital did nothing.
And this is matter of court record that 3 women did make complaints, and that it wasn't until the 4th woman came forward and demanded there be an investigation that an investigation was made. And Ellie Brooks, the woman who we interviewed earlier this month, shortly after the sentencing, had the same outrage towards the hospital as well as obviously towards Doodnaught, but the sense that there had been a cover-up was the sense because those 3 women's cases were not taken seriously.
When you consider 3 women have similar allegations, all against the same doctor, it would bear some sort of investigation, but apparently the hospital didn't feel obliged to do so.
They didn't, and they have. I just want to mention North York Hospital has apologized officially to all of the victims of George Doodnaught, and the CEO, Tim Rutledge, has said that there have been changes in the system so that complaints will now go directly to, complaints of a sexual nature will now go directly to him.
Okay.
Now, if you would like to get in touch with me about this story or any other story, you can reach me on Twitter at CityAvery.
The Inside Story runs every Tuesday and Thursday on City News. All segments are up on our website, citynews.ca.